everyone, welcome back to the TJOmega channel for day 1010 of our daily content streak. I want to take this opportunity to thank everyone who has congratulated me on hitting the 1000 mark, as it is a fairly big milestone, and I would like to say some kind of accomplishment. Though I will admit, I'm not sure it is something that should be congratulated for, because I think being able to produce 1,000 Transformer videos in a row, or mostly Transformer videos in a row, is some sign of some deep psychosis that I really should have treated by now. But as long as you're enjoying it, we will continue this psychosis. We'll continue it today. It is News Roundup Day, which means we look back at all the other Transformer news items that slipped through the cracks, because Hasbro basically handled everything themselves last week by doing so many new product announcements. So we do need to look through and kind of like look in between the cracks here to find others, but there's plenty more. For instance, the official announcement for Bumblebee as a Lego kit is actually released, and it's a pretty package, isn't it? Bumblebee looks quite good on here. Let's actually take a look here. So lots of product images, lots of examples of the packaging, and from all angles looks really nice. There's like the old school way of showing the conversion, just step by step on the box. It does include, there's a few little details, as you can see, like opening doors. You get the nameplate as well. If we can, I'm sure there should be stock photos of all this. Bumblebee with his non-canonical gun, but good that he has an accessory of some type. As we see, yes, we noted this before, his legs do have lowered and limited articulation. Not a big surprise on a kit like this, because as you can see, it is quite a bit smaller than the Optimus Prime, but it is still pretty decently sized for a $90 kit. Yeah, looks good on a desk. Looks good wherever. It is not a Volkswagen Beetle, though it does share some of the typical traits of a Volkswagen. So even Lego wanted to avoid that license, because it's not an easy license to convince them to give away. Looks good. I like the air freshener thing in the windshield. That's a really cute touch. That's a little cute detail. The gold bug license plate is funny. I like that. And I believe September 17th, 1984, I don't know the dates very well. That would either be the launch of the original toy line when Bumblebee first became available, or the first day that the TV show ran, one or the other. Though I thought it was earlier in the year than that. I don't know, I gotta look it up. I will admit, I don't remember the dates very well, so hard to remember. The least likely can be the most dangerous. Okay, good on you. Yeah, there's his old school G1 stats. There's the door opening. Yep, looks like he's got a different configuration for the back as well, if you want that. This windshield piece, which it looks like it attaches and detaches. So there is a little minimal bit of part forming to him. You do have to take off the windshield, and it does store on the back if you want it to. I'm actually not surprised at the smaller size. They had to make a concession somewhere. But you know what? Good. It's still a really nice piece. Should go really well with the Optimus Prime. We have in-hand shots of it too, so if you want to see an unprofessional handling it, there is the instruction book itself. And of course, just like Optimus Prime, it comes with a whole bunch of infographics and a lot of flavor to it, also showing the design work, etc. You also get the optional Bumblebee license plate, which is a good touch if you don't want it to say the gold bug, though I think the gold bug's a clever reference. Yeah, it's just a nice figure. I do like how the bumper sticker includes the rear detail from the original toy. That's such a deep cut. I like that. I like that a lot. Yeah, and there it is compared to a normal Volkswagen. As you can see, they have had the license before. When it turns into a war machine, it's a little bit trickier, but it's not too far off. It's not too far off. I think I still like how it came out. Yeah, upper body looks decently posable. You can see compared to the G1 toy how big this thing is too. There it is next to the Optimus Prime. It is pretty big. That is about where I would expect like Prowl or Blue Streak. Bumblebee would typically only come up to Prime's knees or so. So okay, a little bit of size meddling here, but nothing horrible. So yeah, a little bit of part forming, but I guess that's there. Yeah, there it is. That's where you have to store it on the back, which ironically creates more movie-esque door wings, even if they aren't doors. So I'm looking forward to the kit. It's coming at a very bad time because it's right when I have to leave for a It's coming out right when I'm leaving for a convention, so I don't really have the I don't really have the money kicking around for something like this at the moment. But if it's anything like Prime, it'll be available for a long time. I'm not worried about grabbing it. Let's move on to a Hasbro release toy. Someone got their hands on Straxus. This is not Rab again, who comes up with these photos all the time of these early figures. He looks so good. It's a Galvatron retool, but it's a Galvatron retool that makes so much sense. There's the pickaxe. That's the signature weapon. Great to see on him. Wouldn't be right without it. Looks like he's ready for Fortnite. Not gonna lie. Yeah, it's such an interesting and different design for Transformers. I'm really happy that Straxus has a proper figure that actually looks the way he's supposed to look. It's a really nice job. I'm really happy with how he came out. Yep, he gets a blaster arm accessory because Galvatron toy. Yep, a little bit smaller than some of your leaders, but that's to be given. It's a little bit denser than Grimlock is, I'll give him that. Yeah, and that vehicle mode, that not canon vehicle mode. Yeah, he was just a big flying space cannon in the comic books, so that is entirely accurate. That's why it's a Galvatron retool. It makes total sense for the character and the design. It looks good. It's a very different type of Transformer look, but I think they pulled it off really well. I'm looking forward to it a lot. Yeah, this is probably one of the more exciting releases out of that whole comic book run. Just because, like, this is a character that a lot of fans remember, but has never gotten a really good toy. You know, I don't really dig the Dark Mount Deluxe. This is proper Straxus. I'm happy with this. Let's look at some of the behind-the-scenes stuff, because Mark Marr posted a whole bunch of things on his Marklonus Instagram page, showing off some of the details and other photos for some of the releases, just so we can see him in different poses and get a little bit of behind-the-scenes info on him. I will admit we didn't get a whole lot out of the Quake behind the scenes. It's a lot of fluff piece and just talking about Tomo-san from Takara doing the work on the partial. The fact that it is Skullgrin, and the fact that they've got the Target Masters in, despite the Skullgrin being kind of beefy for a deluxe. That was kind of important to them. I do think it is cool that we're getting so many of these deluxe Target Masters out, like the dual Target Masters. So we can go ahead and just take a look at the deeper photos. It's a little bit switched up from G1 Quake, of course it is, but it definitely comes closer than the Titan Return figure. That said, the Titan Return figure is still not bad. It's not a bad take on Quake. So if you still have that one, maybe not needing an upgrade just yet. I do like how it came out, though. I like how it came out. Kind of a shame this is so far after IDW 2.0, where Quake actually had some significance in the story. This would have been well timed for that. The tank mode is still so doofy looking. It's still so weird. They tried to make the turret turn. It's just a very odd design, and a little bit of the design work for creating the Target Masters. It's nice to know that they are new molded, that they actually are based on like how the original toys were, rather than just recycling the ones from Needle Nose or something. So that's a cool addition. It's not a bad take on Quake. I'm actually gonna pick this one up. Meanwhile, a little bit on Slipstream and her brand new toy. So there was a note here. There's a few little bits here that we could that we could glean from this. Toki-san was the one designing over for Takara to handle this one. They did mention that they are aware a lot of people were looking for a Voyager scale Slipstream that would equal out to Starscream, and that the team is well aware that we want a Slipstream that is more leaning toward just being a female Starscream rather than being a retool of Slipstream. But when you only have so much budget and money to work with, and molds to work with, you gotta mix it up as well as you can. And it does have some precedent It's not the first time Slipstream was done from Windblade. But they do note just how the toy came about and how the new accessories attempted to mount. There is a little bit of a weird way to get the null rays in somewhat of a normal position, but obviously they can't mount on the arms. They can mount on the undersides at least, so, you know, there's at least that, but it still just looks weird. I'm still not happy with how that turned out. They look weird in vehicle mode, too. Like, I think I would have preferred them looking a lot smaller if they're going to be handguns. And, you know, it's weird now, because you look at those null rays, and I know technically only Starscreams are null rays. Give me a little bit of credit here. But you see those, and they are very much akin to the G1 design, even though the vehicle and the robot are not anything like a G1 Slipstream would be. So they should. I really feel like they should have taken the advantage to actually just come up with something that fit the mold a little bit better. You know, so it wouldn't be so shoehorned in. It's not bad for what it is. I'm still going to get it just because it does look really good in those colors. And I do really like Slipstream. It's just a shame she has not gotten a proper shakedown yet. Yeah, I'm still looking for that really good Slipstream that really does feel just like female Starscream. You know? One more. Mark was talking about the new animated Motormaster. There's a few notes here as well. Of course, it is absolutely loaded with old school wrestling references. Just off the top of my head, I can see a reference to The Rock. We have one. We have a Hulk Hogan reference. We have let's see, where else is it? There's a lot. I'm not gonna list them off. There's a Marty Jannetty reference in there too. No Macho Man, which is weird because this design is supposed to be Macho Man coded. Weird. They did mention that for this release, they decided to go straight off of Derek Wyatt's design for the head, so it is straight up just animated Motormaster. The head does look a little bit odd on the body as a result, but that's basically what you're going to get out of animated Motormaster, BotCon Motormaster, if you will. They did note that the grays on this toy don't really match the original that BotCon managed to hit, because the original had a little bit more of a purple to it. But for this release, the only colors that they really had, apparently Mark went through 5 books of Pantone colors, and this was the closest he could get. So it does lean more toward the gray, but I don't mind it. I think it offsets the purple better than just making more purple. It's a really goofy version of this toy. It's a really goofy thing to release, and I love this era of BotCon toys are no longer sacred. We're just going to make new ones. I love this, and I hope it continues. Not even just like more like BotCon Stunticons, but just more BotCon characters in general. I would love for them to escape the exclusivity that their original releases entrapped them to. Let's move on to some unexpected news. Kotobukiya announced that for the Anime Expo event, they were going to have an exclusive, which is their Kotobukiya Bumblebee retooled into cliffjumper, joining a long line of cliffjumper toys that were just repaints or retools of Bumblebee. Well, I do know people who collect these. They are very much into them, so it is cool that those are going to be available. It is at the Los Angeles Convention Center, July 4th through the 7th. If you're going to be there, that is going to be available for you. I don't know if I have a price on here. $150. That is an expensive cliff jumper. But hey, I know you completionists are going to go nuts over it. So if you don't count on it being on eBay. At $150, don't count on a secondhand scalped one on eBay. Try to get a friend who's going to the con to pick one up for you. It looks like they've actually got some art books or like slip covers, that kind of thing, in order to, for some of their Kotobukiya Transformers stuff. So those are a little bit extra to pick up as well. So there you go. That's actually not very far off. It's like 3 weeks off. So if you need plans to procure your own girl jumper, then go ahead, start making them now. congratulations to the Skybound Transformers comic. Number 1's issue has now gone into its 7th printing. That's kind of nuts when you think about it. 7 printings of one comic book is kind of insane. It really shows just, 1, how good this book is, and 2, that, yeah, we still have interest in Transformers fiction, even though, you know, the movies and the TV shows don't seem to be doing a whole lot of good right now. We got 1 coming up in a few months. I think 1's going to turn things around. That said, it's a really cool accomplishment. Now, I did a little bit of research on this because, like, 7 print runs wouldn't be a lot if they were only doing, like, you know, like 1,000 or 2,000 at a time. That really doesn't tell you how well the book is doing. You know, it's a great number to say, but by itself, there's no context, you know? That said, I have done the research. Apparently, the first run of issue 1 had 150,000 sales, which is a lot for a comic book. Now, when you factor in, it's a lot for a comic book that isn't one of the big 2 companies. When you factor in, like, okay, well, that's just pre-order number, though. Yes, but they've needed 7 reprint. They needed a 7th printing of this book. So, clearly, that 150,000 sold through, and now they need more, which I think is extremely cool. I think it's extremely cool that the book has gone off that well because, you know, after IDW 2.0, I saw like an obvious drop-off in interest in the comics. And I was a little bit concerned with issue 1 because it did seem like it was retreading a lot of old ground. I am very proud to say, like, I've been reading through these and enjoying them immensely. And I'm happy to say I was wrong to presume they were just going to rehash the old story, because that is absolutely not what they're doing. So I'm really happy. I'm really happy to hear that it's going over well. Void Rivals, that kicked off the Energon universe, is in its 9th run, which is also surprising because that got kickstarted a little bit by Transformers making cameos and being in the same universe, but ultimately, like, Void Rivals is a completely new franchise, so good on them. Let's see. Transformers 1 showed off a couple more posters. This is at the Annecy Film Festival again, but these came out a little bit later. This is a beautiful poster, by the way. This is absolutely gorgeous. I love how they handled this. We also have that poster of Cybertron itself, nice and lit up. The upside-down city above is the interesting part to me. Like, I really wonder if that's a major thing or that's just how they decided Cybertron was going to work in this universe. Looks cool, though. And then this horizontal poster of the fateful first encounter between Optimus Prime and Megatron. Don't know how relevant this shot is going to be to the movie, but we will see. You know, we know inevitably it's going to come down to this one way or another. Still, cool posters if you're a poster collector. You need some decoration for your walls. Well, as long as we're talking about the movies, the G.I. Joe Transformer movie has found a writer in Derek Connolly, who was noted as the writer for the Jurassic World movies. Now, I did a little bit more research here. So if you're not familiar with Derek's previous work, he's handled writing on all 3 of the Jurassic World movies. So, for better or worse, depending on how you like those, I think they're okay as popcorn flicks, but I don't expect great, you know, award-winning out of it. He did Kong Skull Island, which I thought was fine. He did Pokemon Detective Pikachu, which I thought was really good. So that's a credit. He's also a writer on The Rise of Skywalker. Okay, now it's getting iffy. Okay, so I'm not very optimistic in this writer choice, just to lay that out for you. Weirdly enough, though, at the moment, aside from the sequel to Rise of the Beast, he's also been attached to the Legend of Zelda film and the Metal Gear film, which that's kind of insane. This guy's got some enormous franchises under his belt to write at the same time. I don't know. I'm just a little bit nervous over that track record. We'll just... It can't be. We've had worse, right? It can't be Last Night bad. It can't be Revenge of the Fallen bad, right? Right? Let's move on. There's an interview with Kojin Ono, a 40-year-plus designer with Takara, who has been there for the entirety of the Transformers franchise. If you want, there's a translated version of the link available on TFW 2005. You can go read the interview there if you want. It's just talking about a lot of the experiences of Transformers over the years, how it changed for things like Beast Wars and the live-action movies. You can see like cool photos of some of the Diaclone toy originals and the wood prototypes that, back when that was a thing. Yeah, so really cool read. Really cool read. You don't get to hear a lot from the Japanese designers who have really been there since the beginning. So this is a cool thing to pick up, and if you're curious about the history. Fresh announced, Overwatch 2, a game I do not play, is announcing a collaboration with Transformers. Now, I don't think this means you're going to get to play as Optimus in-game. It means that the familiar characters from Overwatch are going to be dressed as certain Transformer characters. That seems to be what they do with these types of collaborations. I know nothing of Overwatch. I'll be honest with you. Putting Transformers in there, not enough to get me interested in the game. I'm way more interested in what these Kamen Rider-looking people are and these skins. Not that I'm actually going to play. I don't know. It's that type of game just never really appealed to me. I hate to admit it, I prefer battle royales, or I prefer like crazy nonsensical shooters like Borderlands. That's kind of my vibe. But this is slightly tempting. Slightly tempting. And to wrap us up, socks. Official Transformers socks have been found in the wild. You know what? I have not seen things like this for quite a bit, if I'm going to be honest with you. I think it has been quite a long time since I've seen, ever since Loot Crate lost popularity and people stopped doing those mystery unboxings, I have seen very little in the way of demand for pop culture driven footwear. So if you really need your entire wardrobe to be Transformer based, you got new socks available to you. And that's going to do it for the news. I said, most of the news was covered by Hasbro this week. We still made it over 20 minutes because of course we did. But as always, thank you very much for watching. I will see you next time.